What's going on, world? It's your boy Gemini Brown here, back with another episode of Nalo Kicking Knowledge. First and foremost, happy winter solstice to all of you. In essence, this is the start of Capricorn season here in our region of the world. It's signifying winter. Okay, overall, it is a time in which we want to connect back to the earth. We want to go within, metaphorically, okay, and even externally, because it's cold. Well, at least where I'm at, it's cold outside, so I stay outside. But the solstice is, like I said, just a great time to kind of reflect and expand upon your relationship, with nature. See her in her new form, her colder form, and see how that can work for you and all of that. And it's so ironically, I was telling her, I don't even try to line it up like this, but I happen to be here with Mother Nature, Muvacam, as I like to call her, and we will be digging into a whole lot about spirituality, astrology, life, parenthood, and all of that. So welcome to Nalo Kicking Knowledge. Happy to have you here. If you didn't know, you're one of my favorites. You're one of my favorite clients of the many. And part of that is because we both have connection towards children. And not only have you allowed me to read your chart, but you allowed me to read your children's chart. Something I love. And that insight and that energy is a large part of your journey and what you do. So I'm definitely looking to get into that. But welcome, Mother King. And also, you're one of my favorites because you do the work. And this shit takes work. It takes work, especially, the things in which you're trying to bring further to life and all of that. So welcome to the channel. Happy to have you here.
Yeah, thank you, Gemini. You are my favorite astrologer. So, that's why I trusted you with the charts and, to learn, that winter solstice energy is really lit. Actually very inspiring, even though this is more like the darkest day.
Right.
It's just a lot of energy that's flowing out. And I know that now we're moving into that light. So that preparation, that assessment of self, honoring that season that we're in of winter, and just doing our own hibernations, our own drawing within to see what needs to stay, what needs to go while we're preparing for that new energetic year that starts in March. I think that's important. And yeah, you talking about doing the work. That's something that both of us do. I know you teach. I'll teach in my own ways, and I'm definitely glad to be connected here on the channel and on the platform, because I think it's definitely something that everyone should incorporate into their journeys, not just as a solo, but how can you do this for your whole family? How can you do this with your children, the ones you have, and even in the mindset of what you want to create from here? So that's important too.
Absolutely. So anybody out there who's gotten a reading from me or enjoys my brand of astrology, let me say it. Cam here, Cancer Sun, Pisces Moon, Libra rising, right?
Yes.
And then you got Gemini energy too. So you already know you gang. So one thing about me, I'm really big on actualization of the energy. Astrology can be viewed in a lot of ways. Like, there is an exoteric way in which we all relate to it, which more so is on the personality and psychological level. This is why I think like this. This is why I desire this kind of relationship. But furthermore, the natal chart is a map, and a map tells you how to find where you need to go. And in different instances, it'll tell you how to find fulfillment in love, fulfillment in career, how we can overcast and see, the nature of one's children and how one can connect with those children and all of that. So, I remember, like I said, certain people's charts just really speak to what their life energy wants to be involved with and how we can find real world applications for that. You know what I'm saying? So I remember you had a loaded fifth house, and the fifth house is the house of children, creativity, and they're one and the same, because I believe children are the greatest creative outputs we can do here. So, and then as a Cancer, so listen, y'all, she's a Cancer, the sign of motherhood, natural fourth house, right? And then that's in the ninth house of blessings, which naturally is enshrined to the fifth house. Okay, so in one essence, I knew, okay, your children are your abundance in this life, and your relationship with them and what you instill in them is that. Okay, so tell us, about, your journey into motherhood, how many children you have, and kind of what have you always had an idea? Did the young Cam and see herself this way with the children and all that?
That's a good question. Okay, so when I was young, I always was interested in, I would say, birth work. I wanted to be OBGYN. I wanted to deliver babies. I wanted to, be part of that process of helping mothers in delivering the babies. Actually, I had one son at age 19. Then I ended up going to college. When I went to college, I was going to school to be a doctor, major in bio, minor in chemistry and psych as a double minor, because I was interested. I've always been interested in personality as well,
right?
And breaking down people in general. So I had that, but then I started getting on a holistic journey when I became pregnant with my first daughter, who I had in 2016, and she's a Scorpio. So that pregnancy, it shifted a lot of my viewpoint about everything. I would just say everything. I went plant-based during that. I dropped out of I would just say more religious beliefs. I shifted a lot of my lifestyle in general, and I became really more on this holistic path. But while I was in college, I didn't agree with Western medicine. I didn't agree with prescribing, medicine and different things like that. I understood the Latin terminology of pharmakia, and that means sorcery and different things, so there was a lot of different knowledge that I learned in my path that I wanted to be holistic and I wanted to break away from, so I shifted a lot. So I definitely was always interested in working with mothers, more so motherhood and mothers and women. And I knew even in ministry I wanted to work with women, and now I'm a mother of 5. Just letting you guys know, I do have 5 seeds, that's what I call them. I have
5 seeds blooming. And I just want to stress y'all with now, so your sun sign, Cancer, in the 9th house, Jupiter's house, signaling abundance, in life, and particularly through the family. So then, for, like I said, this to be her Pisces energy to be in alignment with that, kind of just shows the natural trajectory of that energy, and how that has, at this present time, assumed part of your identity. Not just being a mom, but the knowledge from it. Then, so I always tell people, no matter what you do in this world, whether you're, a hairdresser, a teacher, or a stay-at-home mom, you got some wisdom. There's something that you know more than someone else who hasn't spent enough time within that realm. So, like I said, I always just seek to show people the significance or the power, particularly when it comes to the 9th house, of claiming, your abundance or your purpose here.
Yeah, and then I'm also a Venus and Gemini, so so I do have a lot of 8th house energy too. But yeah, that 5th house energy of children, I definitely noticed that. But when I in 2016, that's when I became interested in I would say I always was interested, but it was more taboo back when I was a child. I was interested in astrology and astronomy, but I, was kind of shunned away from it due to religious beliefs. But then in 2016, when I started breaking a lot of my previous identity, and I really emerged as that Phoenix energy, which is my 8th house energy. I do have a lot of energy there where I become new. I have to start all the way new.
You consistently reinventing yourself, and then through the lens of Gemini, that's through the ability to learn, and then it's, if you choose, teach what you know.
Right. Yeah. So it's all about that intellect. So yeah, I
Yeah.
always come across different knowledge and I have to reinvent myself based off of the things that I'm learning. So yeah, so I definitely went on my shift and my journey started in 2016. Actually my partner at the time, me and him got together. He was a Gemini. And we created a business called 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐞, which meant freedom through righteousness. And we wanted to teach through music and education, and we'll bring, basically I was working with mothers and well, women and children, the younger children, and he was going to work with men and youth and doing, different type of awakening
Right.
things, for the collective, and then end up continuing on my journey, and I end up moving here to Connecticut, which is where I'm located now, and I have more babies, whatever. and then and then now I'm on this journey. I started a business at the same time. It was dual, called Mother Nature Healing,
Right.
where I was focusing on birth work with 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐞. I did vegan meal preps.
Okay. So hold on. I want to stop you
Okay.
right there. I want you to, yeah. So
It's a lot.
tell us about your business, your brand, and everything that it's about, how it encompasses your journey and things like that.
Yeah. So I mean, I do a
Hold
lot
up,
of
hold
different.
1 second. Someone commented her North Node is also in the 5th in Pisces. You got the Moon,
Pisces.
the Mars, and the North Node there in the 5th.
Yeah, I'm Pisces North Node. So I have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of Pisces energy, I noticed. So definitely around spirituality,
Right,
but
right.
a lot of the business that I do work with in spirituality in general, and I like to reintroduce cultural traditions to families in general. I do homeschool, and I have a curriculum that's based on spirituality and
Right.
knowledge of self. That's very, very important to me. And then I also kind of collaborate the spirituality and ground it with connecting everything back to its roots, which has to do with Mother Nature. So, I follow the laws of nature, the Hermetic principles, a lot of ancestral and cultural traditions, and bring them back in. And how can you use them in modern times for your own healing, to understand who you are and your purpose here, and also facilitate that for the seeds and the things that you create.
Right. So is this something, is this like so are you leading by example? Do you teach classes, one-on-one things?
All of that. So
Okay.
I do this in my house. So a lot of the things that I end up sharing is based off my own particular lifestyle and how I operate in my own home. So these are things I definitely do with my own children. Like I said, I have 5 children, my oldest being 15, and then I got it goes back to back. We got the stair steppers. I got a 6, 4, 1, and 7 month old, and all of them, that they for the older two, older 3, they know their birth charts. We deal with teaching them how to do, study herbs, how to use knowledge of self, understanding Reiki, crystals, all different types of modalities and forms of their healings, and even dealing with their experiences that they've already had in this lifetime. It's very much different for the generation that's coming up and the type of experiences that they're having compared to ours. So,
Absolutely.
so I definitely do a lot of preparation with them, and learning how to be self-sufficient in this, and learning basically what our ancestors learned. They learned the earth and they learned the stars.
I
So,
was gonna ask
put
you,
that together.
what do you think? Because I guess in this curriculum, the regular curriculum, what the building blocks or foundation is like the ABCs, right? In addition, what would be like the ABCs within your realm, or spiritually, when trying to raise a child with a strong spiritual foundation? What do you think is one of the easier ways to start them on, or their foundation with that?
I definitely think knowledge itself is the most important. Understanding what they're here for and their purpose. So, I mean, a lot of us end up trying a whole bunch of things, and then we end up finding ourselves later on in life. But you've been with yourself every day. How you don't know yourself, So it's more like I like to teach them exactly who they are and start to cultivate their gifts and interests as they're there, and attuning. Basically, I do use birth chart and astrology within
Right.
the curriculum, to understand what their learning, mode is, like how do they learn and interpret information, and knowledge, and then how do they act. I use their core, how do they operate in their emotional intelligence and their core, what's their fourth house in, how is their ability to learn and how their childhood looks, and how can we cultivate that and maximize it, what's their 10th house, so I'll start to do stuff like that with them. Understanding their north node is very important too. So I see the lens of how they're processing their experiences. So, it's a lot of customization that goes along with it. And I teach the parents how to do that in general, so then they can start working on that for their own children, and how those transits that are happening now are going to be effective to your household.
Right.
So that's definitely one thing. Is the knowledge itself is probably one of the most important things. So then they're following their path and they're being authentic to them and not being off of what society is telling us to learn. And then the other thing I would say has to do with math, because math is in everything. So, numbers play a big role in how we learn. So numerology is also tied into our math, so I teach them that too. So I want them to learn math too. Math.
Right.
Yeah.
So I want to know, like, I know you have, like you say, you have a lot of Pisces energy, Gemini energy, which in terms of energy, those two differ in terms of like how they would learn. Pisces, my education, my experience as an educator, I've grown to see that the best students, particularly early in life, are the mutable signs. They're a bit older, in terms on the soul level, and Pisces children actually tend to excel really well at that age. But then, of course, you get older and more things happen, confusion sets in via Neptune, escapism, and all of that. But one thing, I'm conscious on with those particular students is how they take in the information. Are they really more visual, or are they more auditory, or like what's resonating with them? So in your experience in coming up as a youth, if you can remember, like how was your orientation towards learning? What did you prefer? What did you gravitate towards?
As a child, my Pisces energy was definitely there. I got put into like the gifted programs, and high intelligence like programs, and I was like, I wouldn't. Mine is visual. Like if I see it or hear it, I'm auditory also. Like I learned through music as well and sound. So if I hear it one time or see it one time, I got it. So then most of the time, then I'll escape out the class in my mind or something like that. And I'll be focusing on accomplishing the next point. So sometimes it would be boring, like, for me, because I have to catch up other people have to catch up to where I'm at. I've already finished the sentence, and I'm moving on to something else. So I do notice with the Piscean energy, it's more like the spiritual energy is like is before, after you die, like you're become connected back to that source energy. So I feel like there's a lot of different things that I get very easily, but in my learning that I had to slow down and be teachable, because that used to be something that used to be a problem for me, because in the sense, like, you'll feel like you already know it. So, you might not be open to different types of learning or different things like that. So, I had to be present in my schooling to like slow down and learn the process of how do you get there. I might know the answer, but I wouldn't know how you're supposed to get there.
Right. You want to know something? And I would say, knowing your chart, that's probably more of a ninth house thing. Like it's like a Sagittarian thing. I get this. I see the bigger picture. You know what I'm saying? And then it leaves out little details, which is, ultimately the process. So one thing I know in my evolution there, in kind of learning how to teach better and all of that, was, and then using astrology. So Gemini is like the archetype of a storyteller. We explain things well, and so when you combine that with Pisces or 12th house energy, start using your imagination. So I personally, I don't like teaching math and all of that, because I could see the rigidness in it. So like when doing word problems, oh my God, I used to make the word problems so come alive, you know, to really break it down. And I would really notice like, no, this is working, because versus me just saying, all right, Sally had 4 of these and then she did that, that loses you. But you know, especially like the Pisces kid who's probably already in his head, they want to be engaged via their imagination, things like that. So someone asked, is this live going to be saved? Yes, it'll be saved here on YouTube. You could go and listen to the replay. So if you have you know, Pisces dominant children, or even like maybe let's say they're a third house Pisces, something like that, Neptune in the third, I would definitely suggest digging a little bit deeper or non-traditional towards helping them learn, really implementing music or storytelling, something like that.
Yeah, my Pisces, I have a Pisces daughter who's
okay.
going to, and she sings all the time. That's how I get her to learn her ABCs and numbers and all of that, is by letting her hear songs in repetition. She'll sing that. And she's not even all the way verbal yet, but she'll be verbal when she's singing and doing that. And she's Pisces. She's a Pisces sun, Libra moon.
Right.
Yeah, Leo.
Now, with that said, I'm sure you know about the increase of children with, let's say, born on the spectrum or maybe ADHD, things of that, you know, labels and stuff like that. And when you look at the numbers, y'all, which I've seen the numbers, and it truly, knowing the astrology is like, damn, Neptune got into Aquarius and all these kids got different. Okay, it's like after a certain time with Neptune in Aquarius and in Pisces is really these children. So with that, I think the logical thing in my head is always like, damn, is this really just energy and these souls coming in? Is it something the moms are doing during the pregnancy? Overall, what are your thoughts on these things? Any advice for moms during the pregnancy process? Any important info with that stuff like
that? Yes. I mean, first of all, technology, there's a lot of radiation and different things that come through all the changes that's going on with the actual vibrations that are here. So in a way, it is trying to put limitations on the things that are being created now, because there is a lot of energy within these new seeds. They're on another mindset. They're on another wave. They got really dope energy to shift this whole world, you know what I'm saying? So like this whole realm that we're in. So I do think there is some interference that's going on, but as well for the parents who are creating, definitely you gotta watch your food. Here in America, our food is jacked up, so like you gotta make sure that you're eating the right things, you know. So, and also feeding when they're young, you definitely got to feed them that high alkaline foods, those brain foods, making sure that you're getting all the colors of the rainbow, because those colors are going to hit those different vibrations. Also, when you're talking about on the spectrum, you have to understand like where is their issues at. If it's verbal, then you need to give them the foods and the nutrients that's going to be nourishing to this area of the body. You're going to have to hit them with the colors that's going to hit this area of the body, so then they can be able to maximize and start to utilize that energy more. Also limit the amount of technology that's in the house. Sometimes just it being in the space or in the room, it is sending out vibrations there, and like I said, it sets the tone of the home. That's why, you know, have you heard of like people using, I know I use this, like binaural beats and frequencies. That's why the sound bowls, they have current resonance, so there is resonance through a lot of different things. So you have to be very conscious of kind of like what you're setting your home up to be. You got to be very intentional with your space.
Right. I love that. And that's what, and if I could speak honestly, people, because, you know, having the job that I do and being able to connect with so many other people, I always tell them, it's like, I'm giving you an intellectual perspective of this energy, but I want you to know that it's triggered by actions. So let's take someone who has a lot of fourth house energy or Cancer energy. and then, or Pisces, you need to ritualize your life. You need to, as you just said, be intentional about the energy within your home, and more so do the things that play towards that energy to further, I believe, like invite further good energy within, support and the ability, to attract certain things. So, applying that with like the environment that children are growing up in, because at the same time, I ask because, with my experience in the real world and in doing this, I would say that, I see a lot of souls, in these situations being born to people actively on their journey. And then when you do a comparison in the child's chart, there's always something there in regards to the moon, Neptune, the third and fourth house. And this one underrated thing that I know is that the third house or Gemini energy is a little underrated in terms of being mentally sound. If the third house is your ability to communicate in all forms, okay? So and communicate thoughts. And when that house or those energies are afflicted, this kind of, and with the natural square to the 12, this kind of becomes the gateway towards mental illness or just other deficiencies, So like I said, I've been able to see that just transcendent planets and alignments in those particular places, third and fourth. And then from the fourth house perspective, it's more so like I kind of, when I connect with it, I see it as like, well, this soul kind of feels safe here, or this soul elected to rock with you to help it discover, let's say it's a Uranus or Neptune in the fourth. This soul who may be different to the outside world is choosing you so you can help foster this inner thing within them, if that makes sense. So kind of a couple things that I've seen, and just things that I ponder going forward. But definitely some interesting souls that have been born over the last 20, I'd say.
Yeah, they're definitely different. They're very advanced. Even sometimes when you think about Spectrum, remember that movie that, like, was it like Jamie Foxx was in, and he was like this genius, but he was like he had some type of illness, like mental illness. It was
It was
exactly
Jamie Foxx.
music, yeah. And he was homeless. I can't remember the name of it, but
Okay.
I think it was like homeless, but he had like some type of mental illness. But he was like gifted, like musician, something
Right.
like that. And he ended up getting a platform to play, and then it took him, change his life and stuff like that. So there's a lot of different gifts that come with that as well. But you definitely got to watch that diet. Is very important, and you have to understand the chemistry of the salts that are for it is math, like you have to understand the chemistry of the salts that are activated within certain signs, like what's that sun moon rising, and look, you have to study your child. You have to study medicines that they would prescribe. What is the chemical compound? How can you find those same forms of that chemical or that element in nature and give that to your child, because that's just a synthetic form of things you can find in nature. So you can look into things like that and find out natural or holistic ways to
So these are all, and if you guys didn't know, these are all tips I'm sure that you provide throughout the weeks on your social media and things like that. So definitely feel free to follow her, check her out. Do you feel like or was there any difficulty um in transit, or any continued difficulty in transitioning or maintaining this particular lifestyle in this day and age?
Actually, no. There is a little bit. See, there's some gifts that came with all these different changes that happened within the past couple of years, because they have made it more accessible for you to be at home. Like you can get things delivered to you, or more, very easily. You can, like I have a big family, so sometimes it's hard to go out with everybody. We can send things there. We can, set up our home. Like, so our house is set up, as far as like it's very cultivating to the environment that each one of my children need. And they're all very, very different. They do have the similarities, but they're very different from my children. But for also this day and age, if you're not tied all the way in, then it didn't change much for me. I do know other people that was more highly affected because everything was attached to the outside world, like the outside schools, the outside, the
Right,
jobs and
right.
different
And
things like
that's the key thing I want to ask you. How could someone, because what I know is that people are easily the idea of these things sound great, but some people can be defeated within the pursuit of, I guess, the information, or overall just, I believe, want assistance within these things.
Mhm.
But what are like the steps a person could take really towards getting their children homeschooled, taking that power within their hand? And also, I'm kind of even asking if you know this, in terms of vaccines and stuff like that,
Mhm.
if they still have to partake within the real world and like that.
Well, when you do homeschool, you have more control. You have more control, so you don't have to you don't have to subscribe to a lot of the things that they're trying to push within the school system. The thing is, it has to do also with how deep the parent is involved within their own system. So like what is your career looking like? What are your hours that you have to dedicate out? Is there a way that you can free up yourself to be able to be home with your children and take control of their schooling? Because also saying, okay, we can homeschool, that's great, but who's going to do it? Because you have
Right.
to understand the responsibility that you'll end up having, because you're now going to be in control 100% of your child's education. And that's really what the obstacle comes, is because you don't necessarily know what you want to implement or what you want your children to learn, because you're so used to things being handled for us. But we have to realize that the school is only a babysitter so you can work for them. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely. Right.
so it's more like understanding what is your true purpose. So really, before a parent can go and do their children, is really they got to check on themselves and say, like, what am I here to do? Because if you're starting to operate in your energy and you understand your birth chart and who you are and what you're here for, then it's kind of like that provision ends up being made for you, because you don't have to subscribe for those systems that are holding it oppressed to where you can't even raise your own children and be present in their spaces. So that's something that you have to go back and look at, is understanding and discovering the self. But you can do it together as a family, but it will take more heightened dedication,
Right.
because you're going to have to not be reliant on a lot of things on the outside if you're going to switch this type of mindset. And then for older children, it is a little bit more difficult because there is programming that's already set there. And sometimes I notice it does better when you kind of do unschooling, which is just kind of learning by just life experiences instead of being a structured type of school setting, because you have to break them out the mentality of how they used to learn in general and start to pick up things from the environment and get more attuned to their natural abilities to tap into everything that's around them. So that's important too. So I would say, first, a parent does need to kind of check and see what they can do. Can you make money doing your own thing? Is there a form of entrepreneurship that you have? Do you have a service that you could provide to others? Do you have product that you could provide to others? Is there a part of your lifestyle that you could share? People make money on YouTube by just showing their life. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
Yeah. Ultimately, I think, yeah, a big portion of what it boils down to is lifestyle and leading by example. Because I've been faced with the question, like, that's the big thing. One may not have the time to fully dedicate towards that, but still desire to, raise their child in a particular type of way. And my response is always, you have to lead by example. You have to, practice what you preach. And particularly with the younger kids, they're always recorded, man. They're picking it up. I had to tell myself all the time that, like, yeah, man, even even if like mannerisms, it's not till I see my daughter, you know, kind of doing my mannerisms, I'm like, dang, you really gotta watch out here. Like, dang, they're really watching, you know. But it's a beautiful thing. So and then for me, in growing and being conscious of why I am the way I am, you know, I I love reading, and naturally I came from a mom or both parents who enjoyed reading, and I vividly remember her books, you know what I'm saying, and her doing that, and just knowing that, yeah, it influenced me, you know, in these ways, for sure. So yeah, just lifestyle, practice what you preach, uh, you know, that can definitely do a lot.
Well, also, I have this add on because what about the people who's around you as well? Like the tribe, you know what I'm saying? Like your family, if you have a significant other, are they open? You know, what about aunts, uncles, cousins, friends? You know, like who else is on what you want? Like who else
Right,
wants to teach that too? So you have to look at your level of support as well.
right,
Um, that level of support is important too. Like I know for me, I'm the pioneer of like my family. Nobody else is doing this. Like no,
right.
so a lot of this is me learning, and I'm that number one life path. So I'm just here to start everything. I might not be
Mhm.
the finisher, but I'm definitely about to put everything in place to get.
And that's what we need. Yo, I love this because like I said, there are my the beauty for me is just being able to see that all throughout the grid there are people making these changes or doing these things, planting these seeds that in the future are definitely going to bloom. You know, I want to say for the audience there, I believe that as we go into Pluto and Aquarius, that we will undergo this renaissance of meaning, of meaningfulness, and embracing more culture and redefining, you know, our own cultures, and this is naturally going to have an effect upon the youth. I actually think, just being a realist, I think education, the realm of education is going to change again, but more so in an accelerated pace. That's the only way it can actually go. We can't slow them down because their attention spans aren't there. And more, I think overall, all of us, because of the technology, are going into this self learning kind of thing. Even not everybody's going to do best being self taught, but I really feel like that's going to be the natural feel to want to kind of, school's going too slow and let me opt out. I could graduate at 15 kind of thing. So if you have one of these children, like, and if you see it early, do them a favor and have the foresight to be like, all right, this is what we're going to do for you. We're not going to sit here and waste your time and try to subject you to childhood when you're just different. So I believe that the children in the past who had difficulty, their adolescent years were difficult for whatever reasons, are going to have an option that they didn't have before, which is kind of be to expedite the not childhood, but maybe like teenage process. I think that's going to really redefine.
And it's a shift though. I mean, there is a split that's going on between virtual reality and being here grounded. So I do think that that's going to be something too to make aware of, is not to go all the way off into you use technology to accelerate things that you want to do here, and making sure that you're teaching children to be present. You know, because that technology that like you said, that shifting that comes so quick, that attention span is 5 seconds, you know, so now it's more like making sure they stay present and do that mindfulness work, to keep them on the earth. Okay. Like, I mean, where you're here, they can go on, move, but just understanding how to use this technology properly. So then they know that you can use this to teach yourself and to further progress what you're doing here on earth, and not get caught up to where you're living on social media or living on technology and you're sitting down all day. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to
Right.
find that balance to where you're present here.
Word. And you know, furthermore, thank you for the love, all y'all in the chat for sure. If anything y'all want to know about Gemini Brown, I really move with timing, y'all. I don't do nothing. I've been saying this before. Pluto and Capricorn really accentuated fake it till you make it, or like I was homeless yesterday, but I could go on the internet and project money based on whatever, you know. So what I've been coming to like with my spirit guides and stuff is like, yo, man, like you made it. You made it where it's like I think everyone had this opportunity to, it's called instant gratification, but like really just bite off success or whatever, you know what I'm saying, really quick, even if they weren't ready for it. And yeah, as we transition in, I just kind of really see the payoff in pacing yourself up the mountain and really embodying these truths and in essence like being grounded. Because yeah, there'll always be a time where that work pays off or it comes in handy. You'll really be able to utilize it for something.
Yeah, that's fact. Definitely. I definitely think that this energy is different. It's really been inspirational to me to start being more consistent. You know what I'm saying? Like it definitely is a push to continue to bring things
Right.
out.
And just what I'm saying though, if because I get those like feel like this, the way the thing was set up was like just know like consistency comes, like certain souls just had to really pace themselves to actually embody truth with what the outside world is doing, because the way the outside was going is like, yo, just come in here and figure it out, like fake it till you make it, right? But from the outside, so it's like, all right, let me observe what's going here, kind of catch the pace and then proceed. So like I said,
You doing double dutch, like
yes. Hey, right now this transition here and this being just one marker. Like I said, these next months are, this is a really important time period. It's a time where we can really just program and continue to carve out a space in this new world, you know, for us. And you know, I look forward to, you know, more collaborations. I know some of y'all are going to definitely go out there and, you know, check out Cam, reach out to her. Like I said, see you working more out there. I know in the community, what do you do? Like what are those events you go to and stuff like that?
Okay, so here in Connecticut, so this is open for all of well anybody who wants to come out here, but I do like I have healing through the chakra series where I'm going through each chakra every session and we're going through seeing what color is, how does where those vibrations hit your body, what type of foods do healing in that body, what does it mean when it's blocked, overactive, how to balance it out. And I do guided meditations, Reiki, sound healing, card readings, crystal work, you know, like it just
Right,
depends on
right.
what it is. You know, also do birth work out here, working with women. I like to do postpartum things like closing the bone, like ceremonial practices, belly binding, different things like that to you know, mother nourishing, like basically like a warming of the body, like the first 40 days after you have birth, and honoring that sacredness in the bond that the mother has, lotus birth, all of that. So work with that as well. Do things with breastfeeding, of course, the homeschool collaborative. I'm working on getting a space to open up classes. I do virtual
Right.
sessions where, you know, whenever someone purchases like the curriculum, they do the one-on-one call with me to where we can break down their children's chart and show how to really properly use the book and maximize it, because there's so much information in there. You know, and I do Reiki and sound healing, womb activation, like
Right.
one-on-one sessions as well.
No,
You know,
that's great. And like I said, I see it's within the community. So I'm gonna just stress again, y'all. This is beautiful. I love being able to have this platform, the ability to come online and do what we do. But as we progress, let's not forget the advantages of the real world and being within reality and actually connecting in that way. You know what I'm saying? There's, especially when it comes to like taking in information. Sometimes you gotta be able to feel someone's energy. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying, to really
Yeah, it's you have to slow down whenever like it's simple, but now it's a little hard because of how distracted we can be. When you're tapping in to each other, say for example, when you meet somebody, you need to like just be still for a minute, like how you said that, observe and even feel where they're hitting on your body. Where is that energy connecting? Is it connecting here, 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 here? It'll tell you what the purpose and role is of that person if you just slow down and become present. If you really clear out the distractions, and when you meet somebody, you can feel where they're connecting to you at and representing whatever that area of life is. What does that represent to you? Then you can see what their purpose and role is, and it can save you a lot of trouble, for certain connections, right, that so you just have to be mindful, like I said, be present, understanding natures, understanding what the seasons are here for and what those roles are. Like we said, wintertime is a time to be self. Everyone, they got it backwards to teach you that this is boo season, but really it's not. This is really for the time for inner hibernation.
Cam, are you able to type into the chat?
Yes.
Yeah, type your socials in there so everyone
okay has. Let me do that really quick,
guys. But yeah, no, I agree. I want to say this, y'all. One thing, especially like with wintertime, like I said, I'm in the East Coast, so be cold and all of that. These last few years, I've really embraced the idea of winter for me is a cocoon, and that when spring comes out, I'm coming out with the wings. You can tell yourself I'm coming out with the summer body, whatever. But I look at this sector of the year as the ability to put real work in, as well as find closure. Because it's weird that the regular calendar is ending, but then if you think about it astrologically, you're in the last sector. So between those, it's like it's this very interesting place of motivation and transcendence that you can find. And it's been really productive for me these last few years. And like I said, I come more so from a feminine. Another thing people do a lot, especially because the way the world is set up, they forget that Capricorn is a feminine sign, and that's feminine energy, and there's a stillness with it. It is an ambitious time. It is a time to know what you want, but with it being feminine, what are your resources towards obtaining that particular thing? What are you gathering? So it isn't necessarily an outward time. So I want
it's the thoughts and feelings, the subconscious,
right?
Alignment. Right.
So yeah, I would just encourage y'all, focus on doing a lot of work and then allowing Aries season to catch you ready to pew.
That's where you plant them seeds, So are you doing some of the planting ahead of time, but that's when all those sprouts come. That's when you start doing that nurturing towards all that.
It's like not even a planting seed. Like this sector is like reflecting, but working out it's like
killing the soil, like
yeah, kind of repotting it in a way. Like, okay, this soil wasn't good. I'm actually let me try something else. And then by the time Aries come, you have, let's call it, a little bit of a foundation. Instead of starting to build a foundation at Aries, you go into it with a little bit of a foundation with, you feel lighter, especially coming off of Pisces and transcending some shit.
Yeah, you got them seeds sprouting, like they right there trying to grow, and you see what they need and adjust accordingly. But you definitely got to go within at this time. This is the time where you.
Oh no! Okay, you put in. I think you put in the private chat. Hold on, let me.
Oh, how I do that?
Let me see. I think I could post.
Hook me up. I don't see the chat. Let's see.
Oh, hold on.
Okay.
Post comment. All right. Just put the. Let me get the other one.
You got it.
Yep.
Well, I can say it too while you're writing it out. But my IG and Facebook is at Mother Nature Healing. It's spelled MUV like Victor A Nature Healing. And then my website is www.mothernaturehealing.com. And I have a lot of virtual services as well. So I do distance sessions so for a lot of different things. So if you're interested in doing that, definitely get connected with me.
All right. No, seriously, y'all tap in with her. All right. I only tap in with goddesses. All right. So she's a real deal with her thing. We got more coming. All right. This was great. Thank you for everyone who joined us. Like I said, follow her on social. Cam, lovely having you. We'll be in touch. And everyone, till next time.
Peace. Yes, peace.
All right.